And now, on a much more serious note, Sergeant William Harvey Carney.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, continue my diatribe. I was faced with a most distressing situation. You see, when I joined the Massachusetts 54th Regiment, and I was prepared to fight for my people, to show that, well, show that we were worthy, much like our white counterparts. Unfortunately, our white counterparts did not deem us worthy. They would, launch up names, things, they'd say awful things, no better than ditch diggers and mules dragging luggage around. Better than, no better than children, you know, they did not consider us very smart. Well, it was time to show what we could do. See, we had, when we joined, actually when we marched through Boston, we marched with the most remarkable young man, our Colonel, Colonel Gould Shaw. And he was a young man, full of life. He was Harvard educated, a young man, wealthy, ladies galore. Couldn't figure out why he'd want to command a bunch of rabble houses like the 54th. But he took the mantle, and we loved him for it. You see, what had happened was that even though we had been part of the United States military for some time at this point, we had a problem. We weren't getting paid as much as the white soldiers. Basically, the white soldiers would get $13 a month. Well, us in the 54th would only get 10. Well, we wouldn't stand for that at all. So many of our men would run around and they would tear up their payment papers. Just tear them up. Said, we're as good to die as any white soldier. We were worth 10 of any white man on the battlefield. Then the most unexpected thing happened. Our colonel, Colonel Shaw, found himself a wood box. He took out that wood box, stood up in front of us, got on top of that wood box, pulled out his Navy revolver, fired it in the air. Bam, bam, bam! Well, suffice to say, he got our attention. I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Men, if you will not take your pay, neither will your white officers." And he took out his pay papers and tore them right in half, right in front of us. Well, that was the day he became our commander. That was the day we became Massachusetts 54th Colored Regiment, fighting singular unit. Well, that unit was the most remarkable unit. They got together the most unusual, different souls you'd ever seen. You'd see a house servant, Robert. The trike was a bit taut. Or you'd see the homeless Negro just saying, "When are we going to get some of them blue suits?" It was a whole gaggle of geese, all tooting different tunes. But once we got together, once we had Colonel Shaw, we were the fighting men. We marched through Boston in front of Governor Andrews himself. Our eyes were right, our shoulders were back, and we were in it all the way. Well, we marched. march all the way down to South Carolina. As we marched, we would find all sorts of colored folks who wanted to march with us and join us, but they could not go where we were going. We would march from small towns, and some of those folks would think they could join us. And once they found out where we were going, they were a little less ambitious, to say the least, because our destination was none other than Fort Sumter, the strongest fortress the South had at the time. Our job was to take that fortress, or be at least part of the force that was going after it. We went down, and Colonel Shaw found talked to the general and said to the general, "Sir, the 54th would be honored to make the first charge." And the general said, "Colonel, by all means." Well, the best way to storm that, call it a castle, might as well have been, but the fortress was near the water. So the best way to storm that fortress, or to gain access, was to go along the beach, along the water. Well, unfortunately, the Rebs knew that too. It was horrible, horrible noise. Sounds of shot and shell whizzing through the air. I still didn't know what I was going to do. Was I going to actually have to kill someone? Or was there another way? Well, little did I know that the good Lord had a way for me. He found my third way. Most units have what they call a color bearer. And that was a way for the troops to know where to go, because the color bearer always stayed with the commander of the unit. And when Colonel Shaw had said, "If the colors fall, who will take them up?" And you heard a voice said, I will take up the colors." And it was mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, put it together for Sergeant William Harvey Carney.